Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone. Glad you could join us.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really getting into some powerful material. We're looking at endurance, unexpected divisions, and, well, what real perseverance looks like when faith gets seriously tested.
Yeah, it's about how faith plays out when things are genuinely tough.
We've got quite a mix of sources today. There are excerpts from Jeremiah, a few Psalms, a key bit from Hebrews, and a really striking part from the Gospel of Luke.
And we're also looking at a contemporary reflection piece to help tie things together.
Right. So our mission really is to unpack these texts, ancient and modern, and find those core insights, those sort of aha moments. We want to see what they tell us about standing firm, even when it, causes problems or surprising splits.
How these timeless messages connect to our lives right now.
Exactly. So let's start with the prophet Jeremiah. Many of you will know him, but this scene is particularly harrowing.
It really is. We jump right in, and the princes are accusing him, saying he's demoralizing the soldiers.
Yeah, and not just that, but that he's not interested in the welfare of our people, but in their ruin. I mean, that's basically treason in a time of crisis.
It's a huge accusation, and King Zedekiah, he seems almost resigned. He just says he is in your power.
Completely washes his hands of it. And the princes, well, they act immediately. They grab Jeremiah and throw him into this cistern. The source says it belonged to Prince Malchiah in the guards' quarters. They lowered him with ropes.
And here's the detail that just hits you. There was no water in the cistern, only mud, and Jeremiah sank into the mud.
Ugh. Just imagine that. Not just imprisonment, but sinking, suffocating in mud. It's this incredibly visceral picture of complete helplessness.
Absolutely. Utter despair.
And I think our first insight is right there. Even when you are totally stripped of control, literally sinking, something unexpected can happen, an intervention that opens the door to, well, a deeper kind of deliverance.
And what's so fascinating is who intervenes. It's not, a bolt of lightning or an angel appearing, not immediately anyway. It's a human being. Ebed-Melech, described as a Cushite court official, so possibly an outsider in some ways.
And he's brave. He goes straight to the king.
He does. He confronts Zedekiah saying, "My lord king, these men have been at fault in all they have done to the prophet Jeremiah." And he points out the obvious. He will die of famine on the spot because the city's starving anyway.
It's a bold move, speaking truth to power when Jeremiah's enemies are clearly influential.
Exactly. And it works, surprisingly maybe. Zedekiah tells Ebed-Melech to take 3 men, 3, interesting detail, and draw the prophet Jeremiah out of the cistern before he should die.
So, a human lifeline, offered by someone maybe considered minor in the grand scheme of court politics.
Which leads us to, I think, a second key insight. Hope and rescue can pop up from really unexpected places, often through the courage of just one person willing to speak up. And this whole narrative, Jeremiah sinking and then being pulled out, it echoes so strongly with some of the Psalms, doesn't it? Particularly Psalm 40.
Oh, absolutely. That connection is almost eerie. You have Jeremiah literally sinking in mud.
Yeah.
And then you read Psalm 40. I have waited for the Lord, and he stooped toward me. The Lord heard my cry.
He drew me out of the pit of destruction, out of the mud of the swamp. It's the same imagery.
Exactly. He set my feet upon a crag. He made firm my steps. It's not just being saved, it's being put on solid ground. A total turnaround.
From sinking to stable.
And the psalmist doesn't just feel relief, right? There's this transformation. And he put a new song into my mouth, a hymn to our God.
It becomes a testimony. Many shall look on in awe and trust in the Lord. The personal rescue has a ripple effect.
Yeah, it inspires others. And that very personal plea later in the psalm, though I am afflicted and poor, yet the Lord thinks of me. You are my health and my deliverer. Oh my God, hold not back. It really captures, I think, our third insight.
Which is
that even when we feel completely vulnerable, afflicted, poor, whatever it is, there's this underlying conviction that we're not forgotten. That help, whether it's divine intervention or through someone like Ebed-Melech, is actually possible.
That's a powerful idea. And it flows really well into the next piece we looked at from Hebrews chapter 12. It takes this theme of endurance beyond just one crisis like Jeremiah's pit.
Right. Hebrews frames it differently. It talks about life or faith as a race.
A long-distance race, yeah. A marathon. It says we should rid ourselves of every burden and sin that clings to us, like shedding unnecessary weight for the run.
And persevere in running the race that lies before us. It mentions being surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses.
Like spectators or maybe past runners cheering us on. It emphasizes needing to lighten the load and just keep going. focusing on the finish line.
And who's the ultimate pacer, the ultimate example in this race?
Well, the text points straight to Jesus. He's called the leader and perfecter of faith.
Leader and perfecter. What does that mean in this context?
It means he didn't just start the race, he finished it perfectly. The text says he endured the cross, despising its shame, and has taken his seat at the right of the throne of God. He went through the absolute worst, ignored the humiliation, and reached the goal.
So he's not just a historical figure here, but presented as a model for us.
Exactly. The text explicitly says, "Consider how he endured such opposition from sinners, in order that you may not grow weary and lose heart." It's a direct encouragement. Look at his example when you feel like giving up.
That feels like our fourth insight then. Endurance isn't just about surviving one bad moment like the cistern. It's about this sustained commitment, keeping going even when opposition feels relentless.
Precisely. And there's that line, "In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding blood."
Yeah, that's a tough line.
It is, but it puts things in perspective, maybe. It suggests that while our struggles are real and demand perseverance, perhaps we haven't faced the ultimate extreme yet. But the spirit required, that relentless endurance, is the same.
So we've got this picture of enduring hardship, even sinking into mud, being rescued, and then running this long, difficult race, keeping our eyes on the example of Jesus. That sets quite a stage, actually.
It does, because the next piece from Luke's gospel introduces something really, well, surprising, almost jarring.
Jarring's a good word for it. Jesus starts with this incredibly intense image. "I have come to set the earth on fire, and how I wish it were already blazing."
Fire. That immediately makes you think of purification, judgment, transformation, but also potentially destruction or chaos. It's potent.
And then he drops the bombshell. He asks, "Do you think that I have come to establish peace on the earth?" And you expect him to say yes.
Yeah.
Right? That's the common image.
Prince of Peace.
But he says, "No, I tell you, but rather division. Division, not peace."
It's really counterintuitive, and he doesn't soften it. He describes this division cutting right into the heart of families.
Yeah, he says, "A household of 5 will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3, father against son, mother against daughter, even in-laws." The most fundamental human connections.
It suggests that following him, that commitment, can force choices that disrupt even those basic loyalties.
It's a completely different take on what following him might entail. It reminds me a little of that Alleluia verse we saw from John's Gospel. "My sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me." There's a sense of distinction, of knowing who's truly listening, which implies others aren't.
And that distinction can lead to separation, which brings us to the question, why? Why would Jesus speak of bringing division? How does that fit?
That's where the contemporary reflection piece, the dividing fire of faith, comes in handy, isn't it?
It really helps clarify. It suggests that this fire Jesus talks about isn't meant for like literal burning down of things. It's a purifying fire.
Purifying how?
It purifies hearts, the reflection says, and challenges us to choose God over comfort and compromise. The fire reveals what's real, what's lasting, and forces a choice.
So the division isn't the goal, but maybe an inevitable consequence of that purification.
That seems to be the idea. The reflection puts it as not to destruction, but to a deeper transformation in his love. So our fifth insight might be that deep, authentic faith, because it demands a real choice and commitment, can naturally create a dividing line. Not to be destructive, but to refine and clarify allegiance.
Choosing God over comfort and compromise. That often means standing apart from the crowd, or even people close to you.
Exactly. The reflection says, true discipleship means courageously standing for Christ, even when it costs us peace with the world. That peace with the world might mean avoiding conflict, fitting in, not rocking the boat.
But this call demands rocking the boat sometimes.
It seems so. And this isn't arbitrary. Think about Psalm 11, verse 5. The Lord examines the righteous, but the wicked he hates with a passion. There's always been this idea of a divine assessment, a distinction being made. The fire Jesus brings just makes that distinction clear, perhaps more immediately felt.
Okay, so let's try and connect these threads. We started with Jeremiah's endurance in the mud.
Then the long race of faith from Hebrews, needing perseverance.
And now this idea of a purifying fire that causes division from Luke. How do they link up?
Well, maybe the endurance Jeremiah showed, that steadfastness even when sunk in the mud, and the perseverance needed for the long race in Hebrews. Maybe that's the kind of commitment that inevitably leads to the division Jesus talks about.
Because Standing firm like that.
Because standing firm in truth, refusing to compromise on core convictions, especially when it's uncomfortable or unpopular, that inherently challenges the status quo. It challenges easy compromises, maybe even relationships built on less solid ground.
So the journey from the mud pit through the long race might actually lead you straight into situations where you have to stand apart, creating that division.
It suggests that real faith isn't always about finding harmony with everything around you, but about maintaining integrity within yourself, aligned with God, even if that creates external friction. It kind of redefines peace, maybe less about lack of conflict, more about internal wholeness and right relationship with God.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to process. What an incredible journey through these texts today.
It really covers a lot of ground, doesn't it?
It does. We started, deep in Jeremiah's muddy cistern, seeing how even in total despair, rescue can come sometimes through unexpected human courage, always underpinned by a sense of divine awareness.
From the pit to the solid rock.
Then we shifted to Hebrews, thinking about faith not just as survival, but as this long, demanding race requiring constant perseverance, with Jesus as the ultimate example of enduring opposition.
Keeping your eyes on the prize, essentially.
And then we hit that challenging concept from Luke, the purifying fire, the unexpected division that can arise when deep conviction meets the world, even disrupting families.
Showing that standing for truth isn't always comfortable.
No, definitely not. This whole deep dive really highlights that committed faith isn't the easy road. It demands resilience, perseverance, and sometimes a real willingness to stand for what you believe, even if it causes waves or divides.
It really does. And that reflection piece leaves us with a very pointed question, a real challenge for personal thought.
What was that again?
It asks, what step can I take today to stand firm in my faith, even if it causes discomfort or division?
That's direct. It brings it right down to our daily choices.
It does. So maybe the invitation for you listening is to think about how these themes, endurance, divine help, the sometimes costly nature of commitment, how do they resonate in your own life right now?
Where might you be facing your own kind of mud pit or running your own challenging race?
And perhaps where might standing firm in your convictions require courage? Maybe even leading to some discomfort or a necessary dividing line.
It's definitely something to mull over, the real cost and the real courage involved in living out deep conviction.